Order of movement of how body and arms work and their sequence. So there are a couple of different drills we'll look at. The first one is if my arms are just hanging freely and I rotate my body in both directions, then my arms just swing. So this is just my body rotation which is causing my arms to swing. I'm not just swinging my arms, like just moving my arms. So that's sort of first stage, just to get the idea that the body can work but the arms can stay completely free and loose. Second part is if I hold this bucket of balls, just a half a bucket, keep my hands fairly close together, and I've just got the weight of the balls in the bucket there, obviously not too full, otherwise I'll tip balls everywhere. So from here my arms are just hanging, so I'm in golf posture, and then as I go back and through, we've got some reference points here. The first is that as I move, I'm getting a little bit of a sway with my hips, and then my hips start to sway, so pressure's moving to my lead foot, my left foot, then the bucket follows. Then as the bucket gets toward the end of its swing here, I start to shift the pressure back to the right, then the bucket follows. As the bucket gets near the end of its swing here, I start to shift the pressure left, and then, so I'm actually shifting the pressure before the bucket finishes swinging in the direction it's going back. So my hips are moving well before the bucket swings. And I've got some rotation as I'm doing that movement. So if I go from side on, I'm retaining posture, and the bucket's not moving in a straight line, it's moving a little bit around me because my body's rotating. But I'm not using my arms at all. As I go back, I'm not trying to bend my arms or swing the bucket back too far. So that's going to give me the feeling of that movement. Then if I introduce the rope, so from here, my arms, as I swing back and through, my arms or hands are going to move a little bit across my body, but only about this much. So then when I add in the rotation with that movement of my arms, the rope is going to swing around my body about waist height, just above belt height. Now what I want to do is I need the rope to move around my body, and I need to allow the rope to finish swinging before I start changing direction with my body. So I'm still leading with my hips. Pressure's changing from foot to foot as I go back and through, but my upper body is staying fairly centered, fairly steady as I go back and through. So now if we go into a full swing movement, again with the rope, so from here, as the rope goes back, it's going to move under my left armpit. As it swings through, it's under my right. So now I've got a free swinging movement, so I've still got that pressure moving, hips moving, but you'll notice my head is pretty steady as I make this movement back and through. But you can see there's quite a bit of movement through my lower body. And if I keep that movement going from here, the rope is swinging on a fairly uniform angled path, just like I'd want my golf club to do. So I'm actually controlling the movement with the turning of my body rather than trying to make my hands and arms do anything. So when I've got a golf club in my hands, the properties of the shaft, obviously very different to the rope, but I still need to work with the properties of the shaft being firmer. So as I go back and through, I'm doing exactly the same thing. So I'm swinging back, pressure's moving forward, club follows. And if I make that a continuous movement, like I did with the rope, pressure moves and turns, moves and turns, the club follows. And again, as I'm doing that, you'll see my head's pretty steady, but you can see quite a bit of movement through my lower body. And if we go from here, same thing. I'm retaining the posture with my upper body. The club's swinging on a uniform path or uniform angled path back and through as I'm creating that movement. So my arm contribution is really small. It's mostly what's happening from here down to the ground.